Non-citizens receiving registration forms so they can vote in this fall's elections. Our next guest says it's happening in 49 states throughout the USA. Here to explain is Catherine Englebrecht. She's founder of True the Vote, a group dedicated to empowering citizens to protect election integrity. Catherine, so how is this happening? Where specifically? Give us some cases that your group has uncovered.
Sure. Well, and I'll just start by saying that the 49 states, I think, is a observation because that's now been published by several outlets that are saying that in states across the country, on welfare applications, Medicare applications, Medicaid applications, they're being given to non-citizens. But I would submit to you that it's everywhere because it's a national standard. And to answer your question, here's how we got here. In 1993, there was a piece of legislation passed called the National Voter Registration Act. At that point, voter registration was baked into social services applications. What are social services? Anytime you get a driver's license, your social security card, welfare, Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, housing supplements, on and on, all the kinds of supplemental programs that you can get from the government now have, or as of 1993, have voter registration applications baked into them. We still have independent forms, but generally speaking, it's that social service catch-all that really presents the problem.
Well, how do we know then? How do we know then if someone is a citizen or not when these registrars get these forms back?
You don't, and that's the scary part, because back in 1993, the social service programs were only available to citizens. That changed under the Obama administration when many of those programs were expanded to now be offered to non-citizens. Flash forward to 2024, and really since the Biden administration took over, and what's happening at the border with their press through these social service programs. We've all heard about what's happening at the border with these migrants being given access to all manner of programs. Well, just part and parcel of that is voter registration. And you make an excellent point, Gary, because here is the rub. When those applications split off and voter registration goes to the states, states do not have complementary data to be able to verify the citizenship of the applicant. And the federal government doesn't require it. So it is an absolute recipe for disaster. States can request the data from DHS, petition for the data, but they must be doing that. It's one of the reasons that True the Vote has put up the call to action with our 611 project to get people involved in calling their representatives, because this is still something that we can solve before November, but we've got to act fast.
At least 7 states prohibit in their constitutions non-citizens from voting. So the question then would be, why shouldn't non-citizens be allowed to vote?
Well, I mean, you know, it's written out into the U.S. Constitution that only citizens should be able to cast the vote. Where the federal government has failed, though, is in requiring that citizenship be proven for both voter registration, but also for most of the programs that they are now eligible for.
What's the danger, Catherine? What's the danger of having non-citizens voting?
Oh, my word. I mean, you know, you will dilute the vote of an American citizen's vote, an American citizen who's vested into this country, paying taxes and concerned about the future. What we're seeing happen at the border, make no mistake, these people are being used as political pawns. This is not about creating an immigration, utopia. This is about using and grooming a block of voters that they are keeping in very tight control, with the expectation, I believe, because based on everything that we are seeing, we have people embedded at the border, and that we are seeing and hearing, and we've all seen it and heard it on social media, and it's true. They are expecting to vote for Biden, and it is engineered chaos, but across this 1,000-front war that we face in elections, it is one that can still be addressed if states are given access to the data they need to prove it up against their voter rolls.
Yeah, they're expected to vote for Biden if he's on the ballot, but there's question about that. So on to another issue. There's some indication that the U.S. Postal Service won't be able to handle all those mail-in ballots this election coming up in November. So what have you discovered on that front?
Well, it's like, like I say, you reap what you sow. And we saw it first in 2020, where I actually put out a sort of mini documentary in the summer of 2020. And I very subtly titled it "The Most Important Video You Will Watch This Year." And back in 2020. And I said, this is what's going to happen. Counties are not prepared for this tsunami of paper ballots. And it requires an entire upstream adjustment in process, much less what happens with the United States Postal Service. So for the Postal Service to be coming out now and saying that there are problems is cause for concern. And the clear remedy is don't use the Postal Service to cast your ballot. Either take that paper ballot if you're going to get a ballot in the mail, and go turn it in person, or just vote in person. But many, if you receive the ballot through the mail and then you send it back through the mail, that sending it back, studies have shown your ballot's going to be handled by 10 or 12 touch points before it finally gets to the county. That's a lot of insecure handoffs. So the best practice is to just either turn it in person or vote in person and eliminate the problem entirely.
Yeah, whatever happened to single-day voting and in person, right? Paper ballots in person.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
We have to get back to it.
Okay, Catherine Englebrecht, True the Vote. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.